That is the voice of Frankie Moreno.
That's me, hi.
Hey, the new superstar of Las Vegas, I understand, right?
Well, I don't
Voted
know.
greatest headliner?
Yeah, got one of the best headliner, and been playing at the Stratosphere now about a year and a half.
Uh-huh.
It's exciting.
Now, how would you characterize your show? I mean, it's you do original music.
Yeah. I mean, it's different for Las Vegas because I mean, you got your cirque shows, you got your production shows, your magic shows, your puppet shows. You know, we're more of just that old school, you know, Elvis Presley show, where just a stage with a band and a singer, Michael Bublé, Frank Sinatra. So it's mostly original music, which I guess is very uncommon.
So is it difficult when people come to see you and they may not be familiar with the music because it's not you know, music that you're you know, redoing for somebody else's song?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, first of all, they don't know my name. You know, if they
aren't
don't
you the
watch live
female
TV.
Impersonator guy?
I get that. I get that. I get.
Yeah.
And then they see like, who is this guy? And he plays songs we never heard before. Meh. You know, we got that for a long time, and then I was able to do a couple cool television things, which then started getting, you know, I did Dancing with the Stars, I did some stuff like that, and that started bringing in a crowd on its own, because now when we play an original song, they probably saw it on TV and they start clapping, so it's kind of like we're doing a cover song.
Right, because I understand, like when people walk into the show, I mean, it's they have, you know, a preconception, I think, of what the show is going to be. But it's, well, from what I hear, people are really, you know, energized and surprised when they leave, not because they're leaving, but because how great the show was.
Well, it's just it's great musicians right off the bat. I mean, it's every player is. I mean, my cellist plays with Celine, violinist plays with Rod Stewart. The drummer, he works with Ricky Martin, and I mean, all the players are solid players. So the music is great. The arrangements are fresh and new. They kind of have that old spin, that classic Sinatra-esque spin to it, but it's all modern music. You know what I mean? So it's fresh music, but you got horns and strings playing it, so it sounds familiar. So all the generations can kind of listen to it and take something from it. And the original songs are not like, you know, just songs written about crazy things. They're commercial. I mean, they're commercial songs, you know. So when I think people come in for the first time not knowing what it is, and then they see it, it's just a lot of energy. It's a lot of, I think it just reminds them of what the old Vegas was. The room is set up to look like Copacabana or something like that. I mean, it's booths and candles, and so it's very old school Vegas.
And that's at 8 o'clock at night, your show?
8 o'clock. Yeah, 8 o'clock, just hour and 15. Easy.
Easy. Well, it's easy for us to watch it. I know how easy it is for you to perform. You've been doing this for a long time. You came to music at a very young age.
Yeah.
How did that occur? Your parents involved in music?
Dad plays guitar. My uncle played sax. So my dad and my uncle, brothers, they had this little band, local band, kind of playing in Santa Cruz, California. That's where I'm from. And they'd play the little nightclubs around Santa Cruz. But nothing like super serious, you know what I mean? It was more of just a fun thing. And 3 years old, 4 years old, we had a piano in the house, nobody played piano, and I just figured it out. I mean,
You didn't take lessons?
Well, I did later. I mean, when I was about 7, I started taking lessons for classical music and reading, but I could literally hear anything from a Jerry Lee Lewis record to Mozart and just sit down and copy it almost exactly, you know. And
what was the first song that you learned?
Star Wars. Da, 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 da. My brother showed me that, and that was the first recollection I have of touching a piano, was playing that. And I didn't watch Star Wars. I don't know anything about it. He liked it, and it was popular at the time. But I remember playing it and figuring out how the notes worked. And then my dad was all into the 50s and 60s stuff, so he played me Elvis and Jerry Lee Lewis constantly. So I'd hear like Great Balls of Fire. You know, that was probably the second song I learned. And then I got really heavy into Mozart because I advanced real quick, and all the Jerry Lee stuff became very easy for me. The boogie woogie stuff became like not challenging anymore. Right. It was just, it was my favorite to play, still is. But there's nothing challenging about it. With classical music, it gets real difficult and technical, and So I started listening to the Mozart stuff, and that movie Amadeus came out of Mozart, and I go, that's pretty cool. Now, how do I combine Mozart with Jerry Lee Lewis, but do it like Elvis would have done it? You know, and then write my own songs like the Beatles. So basically, I spent a whole life trying to figure out that combination, and I hit it about 2 years ago.
You hit it, and it became Frankie Moreno.
Well, yeah, I guess.
Is there a song that that you've just been unable to really capture?
Unable?
Yeah.
No. I mean, typically, I'd say, I mean, technically, I've trained a lot. I've trained a lot in music, so I mean, I can ultimately figure most of the stuff out. I think the trick is believing the song, you know, like with a lyric. If I don't have a personal connection with the song, or can fake it, you know what I mean? Even if it's something that has nothing to do with me, if I can get in that character, if I can't do that, I take it out of the show, or I won't use it, because I want to be every 3.5 minutes, there's, you know, 12, 15 songs. Every 3.5 minutes it has to be a different movie, you know, and it's like you're in that zone.
And when you write these the songs, you do the music and the lyrics?
Yep, I write with my brothers, Tony and Ricky, but we all kind of contribute, but yeah, music, lyrics, the production, you know, when the horns come, when the strings play.
Oh,
so and then do all the charts for the strings and do all that stuff, and yeah, I mean, it's you kind of get the theme in your head of what you want it to be and what it's supposed to sound like. You know, I'm hearing it as the record, not as just the song on the guitar. You know, I'm hearing it as the finished product in my head.
So when you're writing this song, do you use the piano or the guitar? Because you play several instruments. Right?
Yeah, I play most of the instruments. The piano I'm most comfortable on, so I tend to try to not write on the piano, because I start finding that it gets very advanced chord progressions and stuff like that, when a song, to be a commercial catchy song, just needs to be very simple.
Right. You kind of get ahead of the song.
Yeah,
if you're doing the
I start getting more into the mechanics.
Right, yeah.
Because I can. When on a guitar, I only know so much, so I'm kind of limited, which makes a commercial song. Then I'll take that and I'll play it on the piano. You know.
So you play guitar, you play piano.
Yeah, I play
harmonica.
I play like every single instrument. I mean, I don't play
saxophone.
Trumpet. Play saxophone, bass, drums, accordion, harmonica. I mean, everything, clarinet, everything.
So you obviously had some. Did you have formal training on some of these other instruments?
I had formal training on piano my whole life. Like once I hit 7, I started training. Three lessons a week with a jazz teacher this week, a classical teacher this week, an improv teacher.
Now, were you into it as a kid, or did you felt like, hey, this is something I didn't want to do, and my parents are forcing me to do it?
No, and I think that's why I still love doing it. I mean, the second that it's not fun for me, it's just way too much work and stress to, you know, I mean, the second it's not fun, I'm going to go work at Starbucks or something. But
that's the real fun.
Yeah. Well, it keeps you awake.
Let me get out of being a rock star and go work at Starbucks and have some real fun.
No, it's I guess you know, I trained in it because I didn't want to hit walls, and I found myself hitting walls. Like, I didn't know how to read when I was 3 or 4, not words, but music, you know, so I could play Mozart, but I couldn't read. So at 7, my parents go, well, hey, why don't you learn how to read music? Okay, well, when you first start doing it as a kid, you start looking at sheet music, and you have to start over. So I'm already way advanced on the piano, but I have to start over and learn the notes. Well, I hated that. But I also knew, ultimately, I can't advance without learning that, you know. So my mom and dad were always like, we'll pay for your lessons, we'll do everything we can, and if you ever want to stop, we'll stop. Let's do this long enough. So I was like machine gunning through the whole system, trying to like learn everything I could, taking as many lessons. I loved it. I heard a record with a mandolin on it one time, and I bought a mandolin and sat down and must have put 20 hours straight into just sitting there without sleeping and doing it until I figured out the mechanics of mandolin, and then for the next 3 months I just did nothing but every day play mandolin. So you know, I wouldn't say I mastered it, because you can never really master anything, but I got pretty comfortable on it, you know.
Well, that's great. I mean, you have a natural talent. Couple that with a lot of effort and experience, and you come out with a great product. How did you find your way to Las Vegas? I mean, from Santa Cruz.
I moved to Nashville right out of high school. I had the option of I was going to do music school, like a Juilliard or something like that, or move to Nashville and do a record label. So I go, record label, you know? and moved to Nashville, which was amazing because I learned so much. In Nashville, the musicians are just, you know, everyone has a thing where it's country music, country. It's not just country music. I was doing a lot of country music, but the musicians are phenomenal. I mean, the top, you know, no place else in the world that I've been do they compare. So I learned a lot from that. And I was living there, and they opened the Venetian Hotel.
Right.
This was what, I mean, 14 years ago,
Yeah,
I guess.
approximately, yeah.
So they asked me to come play. I had had a single that released in Europe that I made. And they had heard about me, and they asked me to come play, and I was the first band to play the Venetian in this room. And we went and we played and just killed it. We did great, you know. And they started flying me out constantly to play the Venetian. I was traveling so much back and forth, and I'm going like, I bet I could make a good living in Vegas, you know, because there's the Venetian, there's this. I mean, there's a million places.
Yeah, a lot of venues. Yeah.
So my grandparents were living in California, and my parents were out in Nashville at the time, so we all said, let's all just move to Vegas. You know, housing was great at that time and cheap, and things were just starting to, you know, economy was great. So we came out here and just started working all the different casinos, and it just kind of evolved. And then once I got established here, I started touring. So I was not really here. I was living here, but I was on tour with a bunch of big names, and it wasn't until I came back about 3 years ago, signed a record deal. I was working with a violinist friend of mine, Joshua Bell, classical artist on Sony. And I ended up moving to New York City for a short time, working on a record and putting together this new project, kind of going back to exactly what I wanted to do, that whole Jerry Lee.
Right.
And as soon as I put that together, I'd come out here and I'd just do it like once a week, just to keep a band going out here. And the Stratosphere came in and saw me and picked us up, and it just kind of worked out. I mean, it just kind of, you can't plan this stuff, you know.
When you were growing up, at that time in the music business, people would get a hit record,
Yeah.
and then go and do concerts and live performances.
Yeah.
That's less of the rule today.
Because internet.
Because record sales work differently, and the industry really is focused more on live performances today.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, it was great for me a couple years ago before I really had much going, because I could get a lot more exposure, you know. And now that things are going well and I'm making records, now it's a bad thing, because now I'm finding it so easy to get the music for free. Like before, it's like, yeah, everybody,
Right.
I just want them to hear my music.
Right.
And now that they've heard the music, now it's like, oh, well, now we make records, but they can just go on YouTube and download them for free. And
I can't help but notice you brought somebody with you down there.
yeah, I got my little boy here. This is Louis. This is Louis. He's an English bulldog.
And slobbered on you immediately.
Yeah, he's slobbering.
And what is the occasion that you brought Louis?
Well, we're doing the American Humane Association event, and I believe the dates are the 17th and the 18th. And I just plugged it not long ago on TV, and I brought my other dog, a Great Dane, who is far too big to hold in my lap.
So there's an event coming on, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to
Yeah.
take a break and
Yeah.
And come back and talk about that. And I think we have a little video we're going to show.
Great.
So you'll hang around for that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, we'll be right back.